Hello, everyone, and welcome to our newest segment, which is yet to be named. This is the first time I've shown my face to you guys, and I'm probably underwhelming for a lot of you, but I'm still awesome at RPGs. Can't deny that. Alright, so the goal of this new series is to build a system, an RPG engine, something that'll run in the background, making your game run as a unified system. It'll be structured, and it will let your game run smoothly. It'll also make it really, really easy to edit what you need to edit. Now, we're going to be running off the basis of Nabin Raj, I think that's his name, Nabin Raj's starter kit, which was based off of Kidda6660's starter kit, and we are going to be improving on the concepts that both of them put down. Now, the main issue with them, if you go to Roblox Studio and if you look into their file structure here, they've got just a huge mess of scripts. You get scripts that go to replicated storage, to server script service, starter GUI. They have basically just a lot of messy things that need to be cleaned up. And we're not going to be copying everything word from word, and we're certainly not going to be putting every last bit of functionality into it right off the bat. What we are going to do in this episode is we're going to set up the base framework, or rather the base foundation for what we'll be doing the rest of the series. Alright, so one of the main script, actually it is the main script that runs this, is RPG script, and it has all this convoluted, compacted scriptage in there. What we want to do is we want to clean this up and keep it from being so repetitive. So, what we're going to do, we're going to close off all that stuff. We're not going to need it. Now, server script service is where most of your scripts will run on the server side and cannot be modified from the client or messed with from the client, which protects your game from various hacks. Replicated storage. This shares the data inside it between the server and the client, which means it's stored separately, but both can see it and copy from it. It's just a way to organize items and whatnot. We're going to be keeping most of our stuff out of the workspace because we're going to leave that to purely physical objects that the client can see. Alright, so first we're going to start in server script service, and we are going to build our primary script. A script we're going to call main. This is where we're going to put all the stuff you see in RPG script, except we're going to condense it a lot. Alright, so what we're going to want to do is also for our settings and whatnot, we're going to go into replicated storage, and we're going to insert a module script. Now, module scripts are useful because they are run only when called. This doesn't run all the time, and the advantage of putting all your settings into a module script is that they cannot be tampered with. The issue with values like what Nabin Raj and Kidda do is that anyone with even a little bit of hacking skills can come in here and modify the values. And because of that, we're going to want to store them in a table in a script that can only be accessed by scripts. And cannot be modified from the rest of the game. Alright, so it's called module. We're going to call this settings. Well, no, we could just keep it module actually. Now we're going to make the settings. Now we're going to need quite a league of settings. For example, we're going to need base damage for physical weaponry, how much damage is increased per strength, etc., etc. That's what we'll be using all these for. But we're going to break them off into categories. For example, HP, we can make that its own table in here. We can assign HP per level, and we could set it to 5. Oh dear, I think we can remove that. There we go. Alright, so HP per constitution, as you say here. So we could do HP per con. That would be 10. Let's see if there's anything else HP related. Starting HP. Set that to 70, I guess. I guess you set it to 20. We'll do the same. And that is basically how you set up categories of settings. Now you're going to want to do this for the rest of the settings. Whatever attributes you want to be able to change in your game, your properties and whatnot. I'm going to speed through adding all of these and come back once I am finished. Alright, so I came back realizing something, and that something was that Nabanraj and Kitty did not consider the fact that they are making an MMO and not just a simple RPG. The issue with the way I see they've been doing things here is that they're all making it static. It's all set to weapons and to the attributes. And while the attributes do matter, typical MMOs do not depend on numbers and a fitting way so much. MMOs are more focused on your attributes modify the stats rather than they set the stats. So what we're going to do is we're going to base everything off of gradual percentages. Alright, I will show you how that works. Alright, so we're going to set up a damage category, and we're going to set ranged damage as another category in damage. And what we're going to do, we're going to do per level. We will see a 1% increase. Now why do I say 1%? Because when you're dealing with decimals, to make a percent, you move the decimal point 2 places to the right. That would mean that if we move it 2 places to the right, move it over 1 place, and then another, we get 1%. So what we're going to do is put it like that, in decimal form. So per level, range damage will increase by 1%, or you can adjust it to 4 or whatever you like. Now we'll have per dexterity point, which we can set to 8% if we so desire. Next, we're going to need melee damage. This is going to depend on level and strength. Do pretty much the same stats. 0 and 4% for each. And then we're not going to deal with magic yet because the whole mana system thing is a little more bothersome than I want to deal with at the moment. Alright, so now that all of this is set, you should be starting to see how we're going to be dealing with gradually upgrading them rather than just adding on numbers. Which means I'm going to have to adjust these as well. HP per level, I'll have it go up 10%. HP per constitution point, we'll have it go up 8%. Alright, so now that we've got all that sorted out, there are still quite a few here, but I decided that we are not going to have the player gain attribute points when they level up. What instead we're going to have them do is gain their stats will increase per level, yes, but not by the point system. We're not going to institute a class system. Or rather we could. We can implement a class system, and a class will prefer one stat over the other. That would make a lot of sense. We'll probably do that. Alright, so we'll do stat increases for each class, and we're only going to have 2 classes. We are going to have a knight. It is going to favor strength. So strength we're going to set it'll increase the strength by the base strength by 12 points each level up. Dexterity, and increase it is at 4. And Constitution, it'll increase by 7. Now keep in mind that these are just base stats, so we are not going to use the percentages because percentages would shoot the statistics way up high, and we really do not want to do that too terribly much. The next class we're going to want is a ranger who will have a good amount of strength. Dexterity will be favored. And Constitution, well, rangers are a little bit squishy, so we're going to make them have a little bit of lower Constitution. So we've got our two classes. We've got our percentage increases for damage and whatnot. What we do need to set is general settings. This will include the level cap, which we will set to be 85. It will increase the EXP multiplier to be 1. We don't want to, we're just going to go base values for now. And we're going to have to set an experience type as well, and I will show you how this works in a while. The EXP type, for now, just set this to linear. I'll show you what this means later on, because we're going to make a number of experience formulas. Alright, so we got pretty much everything we're going to need to start off here. We got just settings across the board. That solves the issue of our settings because they can't be tampered with as they are a table in a script. We're going to name this settings, or properties. We'll just leave it at settings. Alright, so in main, we're going to need access to settings. So first, to make sure replicated storage is there, we're going to create a variable that contains the service. Simple game get service replicated storage. This will return to us this right here, this entire service, and we can get anything we want out of it. So we're going to get local settings, or you can even abbreviate it to ops. What is the abbreviation for settings? We'll just call it settings. And then we're going to need to require replicated storage, find first child. This way it returns the first instance of it finds. Find first child settings. And this will bring in this library, so we'll be able to see it. Game libraries. And we're going to add more libraries and whatnot here, but this is all we need to start. Alright, so another thing we're going to need to do is we're going to insert a folder. Think Roblox for folders. These have made life tons easier. And we're going to call this stats, because this is what we're going to replicate into each player as they join in. I know what I said about values and whatnot before, but I have yet to find a simple solution for putting stats and player information into a table. It was something I was working on as a side project, but I have no real breakthroughs yet. It's a little complex and completely outside the scope of our tutorial, or our series here. I'll go into the whole Mithril project later. Alright, so we've got value. This is going to be our strength. In fact, we're going to name it str. Then we're going to need our dexterity stat. Now you can set the base values for all of these. Whatever you want to set them to initially, that's what you can do. But since we are also going to be using a class system, we can set these stats when the player chooses their class. So we can allow them to favor one stat over the other from the get-go. So we're going to put down another one for Constitution. That should really be all the stats we need, but for the sake of it, let's just add a luck value. And luck, we'll just set all the base stats to 6. And we are going to have to actually add those stats to the settings as well. Neither class really boosts luck in any major way. So, let's see. Alright, so we got all our settings. Got stats. In fact, we should actually set this in another folder, which is for player stuff. We got their base stats. Statistics should include experience and whatnot. Don't know if I want to put them all in the same folder though. We'll call this attributes. I have another folder called stats, where will contain level, money, things like that. So we'll start with level. It will begin at level 1 if that is what you so desire. Actually, that's another thing in settings you could set. Start level. I'll also set that to 1. Okay. We will also have a value for experience. It will start off with 0 experience. Just call it EXP though. Then the next that we're going to need is money. Gold, whatever you want to call it. And actually, money is going to have to be visible, I imagine. Or, no, we're going to just leave Roblox's leaderboard alone here. All statistics will be invisible. It's another setting we need to add. Start money. What is that? It's 20. Alright, so we got level, experience, money. There's nothing else you really need in statistics. For the sake of a leaderboard later on, let's just add another value labeled kills. That way people's PvE kills will count towards their score on a leaderboard. Alright. So another thing we saw in Nabinraj's kit was armor. And what he does to do that is you select which armor you're going to wear and it overlays it over your character and shows that you have it equipped. But that is not what we're going to do. What we are going to do is we are going to create an inventory in a system that allows us to put individual pieces of gear onto our characters. We'll have arms, legs, torso, and helmet, head, whatever. And that will be our solution for that. That won't be too difficult, so don't let it get you scared to continue on. So, hurrying up because I'm running out of time, we're going to create an initializer, function that will initialize players. So, game.players.playerAdded connect. So this function will run whenever a new player is added. Alright, so we've got our initialization function, and what we want to do with the new player is we want to put the attribute and stats into their character object, or rather their player object, that way we can access it from them later. So what we're going to do is local attributes, we'll just call them ats here. Local ats equals script of player stuff, find first child, attributes. And why do we always do find first child? It's so that we look through it and we get the first instance of it. Though it might even just be cleaner to get attributes through its path. Local stats, we'll do the same for script.playerstuff.stats. But I forgot. We need to clone it into them, or else we're going to take it from here, and no one else will be able to get a copy of it. So we're going to make its parent the new player, and stats.parent equals new player. However, we are missing another vital step. We have a settings file which dictates to us starting stuff like money, start level, what each class favors, etc., etc. But I'm going to worry about setting defaults and the settings later. So just leave a note here, set defaults. And that's what we're going to do in this area in between these area and between here. So, now that we've got all that sorted out, we don't really need this anymore. Now that we've got all this sorted out, let me save this here. Alright, so we got that done. Now we're going to go in, test, and play it solo. And what we should see is that the attributes and the stats have been copied into the player's object. Be right here. Voila, attributes and stats. All exactly how we set them, all right here. The server script service still has copies of attributes and stats, that way they can be distributed to other people as well. So basically what we've got is everything we were intending to set up, and this will serve as our base. The next episode, now that this one's finished, the next episode we're going to focus on allowing the player to choose their class. I'm not going to go through full character customization or anything like that, no full character creation, but I am going to have the player choose their class, and we're going to set things up going on from there. So expect the next episode to be a lot of scripting, because there's going to be many things we're going to have to do to set it up properly. So that ends this episode of our new segment, and I hope you enjoyed it. Look forward to the next one.